Okay, so I wanted to say something to people about typing others, because there will always be people who don't agree with our self-typing. Okay. There are people that believe that I'm a 6. They just do. They believe it. And the key word here is belief. Okay. That is where their faith is, that I'm a 6. All right. And if you want to see that, you can see that. There is nobody that can take that away from you. That's the nature of belief. And there's nothing that I can do about it, I mean, I just accept it. I accept it, and the important thing is that I don't let it affect me, what I think of myself. Because if I let it affect what I think of myself, then it ruins my self-understanding. And it causes me problems, If I let it gaslight me, if I let it control me and mess with me, why would I anyway? Well, we all take what other people say into account, and the inclination is always, or at least, especially I think if you have a social instinct, a decent social instinct, the inclination is to try to figure out, to address that. Why does this person feel that way? And one thing you can do is you can accommodate for it and try to be that thing and make that true for them, to make their fantasy a reality. Because it's a desire. That is an underlying desire that they have, and that's their fantasy for me, that I would retype myself as the 6 and that I should be the 6. Okay, that's something that it would be a little bit like if they were in my house and they were telling me, and I would be talking to them like this, and I would tell them, I think you should leave, really. I guess I'm not good enough for you to be in your type 8 club or whatever. I'm not good enough to fit your standard of what the type 8 is, and I don't really have anything to say to you, like, I don't know what their type is. Presumably they have a type, or they're pretending to have a type. And, I would talk to them about it and ask them about it if they wanted to talk about it, but just not believing people on their type persistently, again and again, especially if you are somebody that's counter-type. And then when people deny and say the counter-types don't exist, that's more gaslighting. Because there is so much time and effort that went into that. A huge amount of time and effort that went into doing that with the counter-types and studying them, and all of the people that have studied it since then. So then to say, okay, there are no counter-types, that's not a thing. First of all, that's a blatant lie, because it is a thing, right? It's a real thing, it exists, and, aside from that, you're taking something that you're finding value in that made sense to you, and, I honestly don't feel like I fit the counter-type the way everybody does. They're all slightly different, it's just a way of letting people know that, hey, the types don't always present exactly the same way. It's letting people know that the fact that you think that there is a type and that there is a counter-type means that you're thinking in stereotypes. And, the type is really about something much deeper. And what counter-type theory has done is basically picked apart in the 3 subtypes of the types into thirds, right? And taken 1/3 of those and said, okay, approximately 1/3 or whatever of the identities expect to look different from what you would expect the type to look. I mean, I thought it was a pretty brilliant teaching maneuver because there are a ton of people that just show up and don't understand the types. They don't know what they're supposed to look like. They've never seen them before. They don't know what they look like. People have no concept, and they're going by a book and exemplars in a book of celebrities, and then they're going by lists of exemplars online of people like on Type Watch or Enneagram or all of the clones that we spent, how many hundreds or thousands of hours on there creating these lists, and there's no science there. It's all just what you guys think, right? What you come up with as people. So the important thing, that's why I have these discussions about, look at the end of the day, the rock bottom truth that we're all trying to agree on here is that we have to type ourselves. And if you're saying that you don't type yourself, then you should leave the room at all, because now you're saying that someone else should type you, right? And that makes no sense. I mean, that on a basic level is a falsity, is a contradiction. You have to type yourself. It is required, okay? So at the very least, you can get people to understand some intuitive things. They will go in circles with you arguing about why, you can't prove your type in this. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. The point is that you have to type yourself, and I don't need to go out there and get other people to, type me and agree with my type at all. What matters is that I type myself and that I get it. That really is what matters. And if I don't get it, I don't get it, right? But if I get it, then I get it. And there are people that think I'm wrong and say, well, he's just an idiot. He's so delusional, and it's like, I'm sorry that I don't meet your definition of your fantasies for the 8. I don't know if it's a big, I don't know what your fantasies are, dude, but I'm sorry I don't meet them. Honestly, but on the other hand, I seriously don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I really don't care. And at the end of the day, that's not going to change the way I perceive myself. I can try to explain to you, why I've typed myself this way and why that's how I am. And the fact that you can't see it, there are people that can't see it. Donald Trump is, I've talked about this before, they're famous people. Donald Trump is a famous 8 that people can't agree on. Many people, half people, or a third of people, or whatever, think he's a 3. Okay, so anybody that gets some controversy, that's popular, that's famous, relatively speaking, there is always some risk that they are going to not be appreciated for their type. And I think with Trump as well, he's a social 8. He's a countertype. I think some of them are countertypes, that they fit into that model. They happen to. So, it's just something to think about. It's not an exact science, and it's not like they look a crazy different way, but it's about understanding that instinct, by its very nature, that instinct goes against the type on some level. Doesn't mean that it is a different type. The type and the instinct operate on different levels. So it doesn't change the type. The type's the type. You're always, the type is there. That was what was interesting about it, is that they operate on different levels, and appearances can be deceptive. So, there are a lot of variables in the Enneagram, and it's a deeply mathematical system on a basic level, and, I'm intelligent enough to figure it out. I've won math competitions and stuff. I'm a smart guy. I can figure it out. So then to come and accuse me of not being able to figure out my own type was a little bit ridiculous, I think, at the end of the day, especially not, and then claiming that you have the conviction. When the people claim that I don't know it, then they claim that they do know it. Okay, so then they feel they know it based on what now? Based on not even knowing me? I mean, it's the blind, leading the blind in their world, right? It's they're moving from something they know nothing about to knowing even less about it, and coming up with, because they should be going by what I know of myself on some level. And kind of trusting me that I've done the inventory, that I've done the work, and that at least I can say, here's to identify what these things are true of me, that I'm more physical, that I'm more kinesthetic and more instinctual and resonate with me gut type more and more action oriented. All of the things that you would identify with by the gut, try it. And just to break the Enneagram down into the components and tell people, this is why I arrived at this fact. So then you get to the point where if they don't believe you, it's like, I'm sorry that I don't fit your fantasy or your idea, or your standard of what the type 8 is, but it's not going to change the facts of that's how I type myself, and that's the most accurate typing for me. So that's that. That's the best way I can summarize it.